What's up, it's Cinema Shogun here, and as expected, all hell has officially broken loose in the Middle East. At the time of this recording, it is believed that over 600 Israelis have already died. Mind you, that number does not cover the amount of civilians and people who have died in Gaza. That number does not cover the amount of militants, militia members, and terrorists that have been killed. That's just the Israelis. And one day, over 600 dead. Hundreds more missing. Hundreds kidnapped. Lord knows what's going to happen to them. But America also has a problem on our hands. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken confirmed that Americans have been killed in Israel as well during these attacks, and that there is a significant number of Americans still missing, and we know of a few Americans that have been kidnapped, and we're suspecting that the missing Americans are either dead or they're hostages. So that's a very scary situation. Scary for many reasons. Now, Poland, their military, as we speak, their military is deploying to Israel for a rescue mission to extract Polish natives, Polish citizens, and other Europeans from Israel so they can get them out safely. As of right now, I don't know what America's plan is. Are we going to go over there and try to rescue some of our civilians? Or are we going to let them die in the middle of this crazy mess? Israel is an ally, a strong ally. Are we going to put boots on the ground eventually? And knowing that America is like the number one enemy of the world, especially over here in the Middle East, if we were to deploy troops on a rescue mission, what would they be facing? I think they would be facing more of a threat than I guess other countries would. So who knows how that situation is going to play out. But this is not dying down. This is only getting worse. There has been constant airstrikes. Israel is retaliating now. They've been bombarding Gaza. There's been skirmishes and gun battles in the streets. Civilians in their cars hiding as soldiers clash around them. There's so much footage coming out of this, I guess you can call it a war now. But a lot of it I can't show here on YouTube. I'm sure a lot of you understand why. Now, as I mentioned in prior videos, I'm not interested in really diving into the politics when it comes to this situation. I understand that it's complicated. And even though I feel as if I have a firmer grasp on this situation than maybe your everyday average person, I'm not going to sit here and pretend that I understand all of the complexities in the relationships between these countries and these militia groups and terrorist groups, because I don't. And to just be completely honest with you all and frank, unlike a lot of other people, when you have groups of people running around the streets saying and chanting praise God as they R-word and kill women in the streets and parade around with their bodies yelling praise God, there's nothing that I want to understand about that. There is never going to be understanding between me and people who yell praise God as they kill innocent women and children. So I'll have people in my comment sections, well, you don't understand the relationship between this. You don't understand this. This is complex. You don't understand this and that and this. What I understand is that I just saw a bunch of people riding around with the woman's body in the back of their truck, flinging her body around, posting the video on social media for her parents to see as they yell, "Praise God," as if their God is okay with what they're doing, as if their God supports them doing what they're doing. There is no understanding between me and the majority of you all with these people. Point blank, period. You can call me what you want. You could say I'm a bigot because of it. No understanding there. And I don't think it benefits me to try to put myself in the mind state of people who are praising God as they R-word and torture random women that have nothing to do with whatever they're frustrated about because over there they're not allowed to whack off. You know what I mean? That's where a lot of this frustration comes from in the Middle East. A lot of it is built up sexual frustration. They can't look at women. Women are constantly clothed. And you wonder why these people are always mad. And I'm not even saying that it's just a joke, even though I am halfway joking because that's what I do in my videos. But at the same time, I'm for real. But anyways, before we get too carried away here, before things start getting really crazy, because they're about to get really crazy, before we get caught up in the fog of war and we're bombarded with all of these videos and all of this information coming from this conflict, let's sit down, let's cool off, and try to have a small little rational conversation. Because you see, Israel claims that they had no idea that this was about to happen. And I don't know about you all, but I have a hard time believing that. Here's the statement that they put out. This is from the former chief of Mossad. "We had no warning of any kind, and it was a total surprise that the war broke out this morning. This is beyond imagination from our point of view, and we didn't know they had this quantity of missiles. And we certainly didn't expect that they would be as effective as they were today. We didn't have any inkling of what was going on." Now, Israel is believed to have one of the best intelligence spy networks in the entire world, and they work closely alongside with America, who also has one of the best spy networks and intelligence networks in the world. There are very, very, very few things that happen in this world that our government and other governments don't already know about. There's warnings out there, there's rumblings, and let's be honest, when it comes to this stuff that goes down in the Middle East, for Israel to be like, "Oh, you know, this is beyond our imagination." No, it's not. This type of stuff happens every couple of days. There's some wild stuff happening in the Middle East. For these people to pretend as if, or to say as if they were so surprised and they didn't see this coming, it's like, I saw this coming. It's the Middle freaking East. Stuff like this is always popping off. So to pretend as if you're just so caught off guard and you had no idea anything like this would ever happen, it's like it's a given that this was eventually going to happen. It happens all the time. Maybe not in this area, but in other areas, but you know what I mean, right? But they're saying they had no idea whatsoever, and I just find that hard to believe. I think that at the very least, if Israel did not know that this was about to happen, that the U.S. probably knew that this was about to happen. And you want to know what's weird? Today, their missile defense systems seem to be working a lot better than they did yesterday. Their air defenses are somehow back online and they're working properly. Meanwhile, yesterday, the Iron Dome and their missile defense systems failed them. We had people on paragliders invading their country. Homemade paragliders. But one thing he did say that I found interesting and that I agree with, he says that they had no idea that their enemies had this quantity of missiles. I believe yesterday alone, these various groups, it's hard to really identify all of them and name all of them because there's so many different factions involved here. But like over 3,000 missiles were shot into Israel. Where are these chump-ass, broke-ass terrorist organizations getting all of this money? 3,000 missiles. Now you have to think about this. That's a lot of firepower for a small organization. And when you have that much arms movement and stuff going on, best believe the U.S. knows about it. Best believe Israel probably knew about it. So I'm really starting to question what's actually happening here. Because, it's looked like to me that the U.S. has wanted war or a conflict with Iran for a while. And I'm not here blaming everything on the U.S. That's not my intention. But it looks as if we want war somewhere, somehow. We definitely wanted it in Ukraine. I feel like people are over that situation. They're losing support for that war. And now a new one pops off. This just seems like another step along the way on the road to World War III, which I already believe we're in World War III, but it hasn't been officially announced that we're in it yet, right? A lot of people don't officially consider us in World War III, but I would say that we've been involved in World War III for a while now. But this looks like just another stop along the way. This looks like another thing that America is interested in. There's a lot of money to be made in war. There's so many things happening behind the scenes that a lot of us don't understand. But I would put it like this. Because you see, we have our politicians constantly saying, we want peace. We want peace. But then they do the opposite of what they say. That's like you having an enemy at school, right? Let's say you have an enemy at school and you come together to squash the beef. And they're like, hey, we don't want any problems with you. And then they repeatedly punch you in the face. We don't want any issues with you. We want to be friends. And then they turn around and talk behind your back. And then they attack you. That's kind of like the equivalent of what America does. We want peace. Peace, please. The violence needs to stop. Here's 400 more missiles. Be sure to use them wisely. We want peace. We want peace. Hey, yeah, this person did this. This country's doing this. Maybe you should retaliate. That's what's happening here. America has its hands on all of this. And I see people saying, America doesn't need to get involved. The U.S. does not need to get involved in this conflict. And I agree. But the problem is, we're already involved. We were involved from day one. In fact, we were involved before day one. So a lot of people are calling for America to stay out of it. America's already all the way in it. Okay? America's all the way balls deep. They are balls deep in this situation, enjoying that good gushy. But before I go too far off the rails here, the point that I am trying to make is that I don't necessarily believe that this was a big surprise attack. I believe that we probably had prior knowledge that something was going to happen yesterday or the day before. Oftentimes, I think things are allowed to happen just so we can have an excuse to retaliate, because in reality, we wanted to be the ones to strike first, but that doesn't look good. So we allow enemy attacks so we can retaliate. It's something that we've seen before. It's something straight out of the playbook. We've seen it before. You allow something to go down, maybe have prior knowledge of it. You allow the loss of life. You allow your citizens of your country to be killed. They're expendable because in reality, you want war. Now, I don't know for sure if that's the situation with Israel, but I believe that's the situation with America. And I fully believe that this conflict is going to spread far and wide. Earlier today, reports came in that some random Israeli citizens in Egypt got popped for no reason. They literally just took these people's lives in the middle of the street in Egypt. So I think this is a situation that's going to branch out across the entire Middle East. There are so many Middle Eastern countries that hate Israel, that want to take over Israel. I'm watching as militant groups and little factions, terrorist cells, whatever you want to call it, that I know are being funded by America, they're in on it as well. So, complicated situation. We'll probably never understand the full complexities. But at the end of the day, what we do know is that a lot of people, a lot of innocent people, are going to lose their lives. And our world is going to spiral further out of control. And I'm just happy that all of you all are here to watch it with me, because it makes me feel a little more comfortable about everything that's going on. Let me know your thoughts though down in the comments below. While you're down there, hit the thumbs up, hit that subscribe, ring that notification bell, and I'll talk to you all soon in the next video.